Hello, my peoples. Welcome back to another episode of Josh's Review Corner. On this episode, we're going to be reviewing nobigdyl's latest release, The People We Became Reimagined. Now, you did hear me say that correctly. This is the reimagined version. You'll probably notice on my channel, I never did a review of the original version, The People We Became by nobigdyl. And the reason I didn't was because I started doing this channel after the fact that album had been released. I might do a review of that separately at a different point in time, or I might just mention my score here. But just as a predecessor, I just would say I gave The People We Became a 7 out of 10. But that's a separate note. Like I said, I might do a separate review for that altogether. But for today, we're here to do The People We Became Reimagined. Now, you might say, Josh, this album isn't out on streaming services yet. And you're absolutely right, because the only place that you can find this album is on Even, which nobigdyl is partnered with. And it's a service where you can get early access to whatever artists want to put up and post on the platform of Even. And in this case, he dropped a he did it for his regular album, The People We Became, and so I was able to have access to that album 2 weeks before everybody else. And he also did the same exact thing for The People We Became Reimagined, and that's how I've had access to it so far. I promise I didn't download any leaks. No, I actually bought the project on Even and have listened to it a bunch of times, and I came here today to present my thoughts. nobigdyl is based out of Nashville. I believe he grew up in Tennessee. Don't quote me on that. He might not have, but he's definitely currently residing in Nashville. And also for specifically this reimagined version, the biggest, another co-collaborator is involved on this project, and that is the Christian rapper 350, who is also handling the production for this album, providing this reimagined version. Now, another question a lot of you are going to say, well, isn't this just a remix album, Josh? Like, there's anything special. Is there really anything special to this? Should I really spend my money on this project that's just a remix version? I think to call this project a remix of The People We Became is not doing it justice. It's so much more than a remix. I think when somebody remixes a track, at least for me, the biggest difference is when somebody remixes, first off, they're really remixing a track or two. They're not going to remix an entire album. But even if they did, it's not really like changing, like it's keeping elements of the production that were there, and it's keeping elements of the lyrics that were there, or the same vocals there. It's just changing up some instrumental parts and doing some different things on the production end. Whereas The People We Became Reimagined throws out all the beats from the original tape and provides us new songs, new sequencing. A whole new song is actually present on this entire album, which has new verses to the project. In addition to the fact that the entire production and sound and feel of this album, and even some of the verses and choruses that we had from The People We Became have been redone, and I'll talk about that more when I get into it. But so this is not just, to answer the objection that this is just a remix album, I would say no, it is not. I think, quite frankly, when he says The People We Became Reimagined, I definitely can see what he means by that. Reimagined is a great way of putting it. But as always, let's talk about the themes of the project. The theme of actually, the way that The People We Became Reimagined plays to me compared to The People We Became is actually very different, and I'll explain why. With The People We Became, it's more so of this idea of we love the people we're becoming, so we love we have a future version of ourselves that we envision, that we want to become like, but the people we became, we're not too happy with that. We're not too satisfied with that. And we strive for something greater. Now, you could say there's a whole lot more to that, but that's essentially the crux of the theme of The People We Became. But with The People We Became Reimagined, it has a much more reserved tone to it. And because of its reserved tone, it doesn't just play off as the desires of these two things. It more so just speaks to me testimonially. It almost sounds like sitting around a campfire, or like being in a cipher and just hearing a dude spit about his life. That's how I take it. If I could put it in any such way, if the people we became is like the artsy fartsy theater kid that's in high school, the people we became reimagined is the too cool for school laid back kid that has his headphones in all day every day, just chilling to his own beat. That's exactly how the people we became reimagined feels. So that's the theme of the project. And let's talk about some of my favorites, because I do have quite a few favorites to talk about here. So first track, Rennesauce. I love the reimagined version of this song. I also love the title, Rennesauce instead of Renaissance, to play on that word. I love what he did with remaking the hook here. I left the label with a smile on my face. I mean, it's much more melodic. It's much more singing focused than the actual Rennesauce song. With the Rennesauce song, you have the crowd chant and it's high energy. Whereas Rennesauce is more like, I'm just chilling, like I said, just sitting around, just like bumping my head, just listening to the song and just taking it in. And so I love the song Rennesauce. Another song I love. So if I had to tell you what my two least favorite songs were from the people we became, it was Odin and it was Empty Without You. Empty Without You is not on this album. Swim is also not on this album, and Loved is also not on this album. But Odin is on this album, and it comes in the form of the song We Just Want to Be Loved. And We Just Want to Be Loved, this version of Odin, I kind of wish this was on the original The People We Became project, because this version is far superior to me. That aesthetic of the 90s hip hop, the aesthetic of the just the way that testimony that he's talking about on Odin, or the way the theme of the song Odin that he talks about on The People We Became, it just fits this production mold a lot better, with this sample heavy, bass driven, boom bap drums driven type instrumentation. And also, speaking of the production, you might have heard me earlier, this project is collaborated with 350, and 350 is doing the production for this project. And honestly, if you listen to 350's project earlier this year, which I'll also be posting a review on this channel for, that project was sample driven and was very minimalistic, and it was better for it. It was an amazing album. But he takes that same approach to Reimagine, but even with more sample focus, more drum focus, more bass focused songs. And I mean, you just listen to We Just Want to Be Loved, which is just Odin, and I would take this version over the album version every day. In fact, I think for every single song on the Reimagined version, except for Art of War, which is the song Get Your Business Straight, I would probably take the Reimagined version of these songs. I'm not even joking you. The production, because when I used to listen to secular rap, my favorite producers were Madlib, The Alchemist. I like Derringer's stuff for Griselda, and I was a big fan of DJ Premier and the RZA. I mean, obviously RZA is a legend, DJ Premier legend, but I would also argue that all three of those other guys I just mentioned were legends. Specifically, Derringer was a newcomer, but I mean, Madlib and The Alchemist are legends, brother. I mean, those dudes are crazy, what good producers. And the hallmark specifically of Madlib and Alchemist style was sample-driven music, or very heavy sample-driven instrumentals, with very minimal accompanying production around it. With Alchemist, it's much more extreme, but with Madlib, you add more jazz flair into it with these type of boom bap drums. You would hear that on projects like Pinata and Bandana with Freddie Gibbs. And then with The Alchemist, you would hear him produced for like Earl Sweatshirt or any of those people, and he is just like very, very sample driven. Like almost the entire beat is the sample, and it's so good, and it's just such a good tone and vibe for the song. And so I just appreciate the production throughout the entire album, because it just takes me back to the time of me listening to Madlib and The Alchemist on production. Also, there's another producer named Knowledge that also has a very similar sound to this, but I would say it's not it's not exactly like Madlib or Alchemist, like whereas you can tell 350 was inspired by Alchemist and Madlib on this. So that's another one of my, sorry, that was long-winded, but We Just Want to Be Loved is another one of those favorites for me. Buzzin is the new track on this album. This was not on the original The People We Became, and I gotta tell you, when I went to Holy Smoke Festival on August 9th and I had access to the VIP after party, I believe that this song was played unreleased at that time. And this song is just so amazing. And I remember being at the after party and us just like you got some of this going on. We're bobbing our heads because it's just so insane. 350's verse is crazy on this. The Plain Jane bar is insane. The No Big Deal's verse is crazy. I mean, everything about this song is awesome. This is just classic 90s style boom bap hip hop. And what a track, what a track. So Buzzin' would probably be my favorite song from the entire project of the reimagined version. But some of these other songs I'm going to mention as favorites are not too far behind. Speaking of songs that are not too far behind, The Day I Arrived, I would take this version. So this song was originally called Pain on My Mind on The People We Became. I would take this version of Pain on My Mind if it was on the project. Love this song. Love this song. And same with Tell Me Why. So you have the Imago interlude, and the Imago interlude is really good. I love the Imago interlude. But Tell Me Why, it just hits different. Firstly, when I heard Tell Me Why, I don't know why. I was initially thinking In Sync, but obviously when the sample started playing, I knew immediately what was up. It was just such a good sample use. The drums, I think the drums are incredibly similar to the Imago interlude. It might actually be the same drums, but he just interplays the sample into the instrumental. So Tell Me Why is an excellent track, and that version of Imago interlude I would take every day too. Get Your Business Straight, like I said, this is the one track I would say from the reimagined version I wouldn't particularly take. But is it bad? Absolutely not. In fact, like I said, this is one of my favorites. So I loved an artist I loved listening to is Stevie Wonder. I specifically like listening to his album Songs in the Key of Life. There's a song on that project called Village Ghetto Land. I love Village Ghetto Land because of the production and the ascending string high notes that are on that album. Like, it is just so epic. It is so storytelling. And Stevie Wonder did an amazing job. Weirdly enough, Get Your Business Straight felt to me like the 90s boom bap version of Village Ghetto Land by Stevie Wonder. That's an insane thing to say, but it really did give me that vibe with these ascending high note strings. It's just genuinely such a good song, Get Your Business Straight, on the reimagined version. I don't know if I would necessarily say it's one of my favorites, but I would definitely say it's a standout. So we'll call it a standout, not really a favorite. B&A to ATL, these are the airport codes for Nashville and for Atlanta. And so obviously this is the reimagined version of Baggage Claim. And this version of Baggage Claim is better. I would have loved to have heard this version of Baggage Claim on the album. I love this song. I love the production. I love the sample usage. I love the drums. Like I said, the drums are just so good on this. So B&A to ATL is another one of those songs I love on the reimagined version better. And Didn't Cry off of The People We Became was a song that when I heard it, that song has probably impacted me the most emotionally out of any song I've heard this year. I love that song so much. And I think it's amazing. I think that when I listen to it on the reimagined version, I might even like it a little bit more because yes, Didn't Cry was great, and I love specifically his No Big Deal's singing part on the second half of that song. Could break down, could break down, could break. I love that part on the original version, but on this reimagined version, it just sounds like a dude who you're sitting around the campfire with, who's telling you about his life story and about how one of his biggest regrets he's had in his life. And there's something just so sincere and vulnerable about this version of the song as compared to the Didn't Cry version that was on the original one. And it's not to say that those emotions weren't present, but they're just more emphasized when listening to it with this type of production, with the very sampled, heavy instrumental. So I love Since I've Been Gone. This is a favorite of mine from the project. And then Leave It to God in an Elevator. Leave It to God in an Elevator. This is another one of those songs where I would say I like the original, The People We Became version better. But this version by no means is bad. This version has its own merit for why it's good. And so it is able to stand on its own merit. I would say it's a standout, but not a favorite. You might have just said, well, you just went through all the tracks, Josh. Surely you have a least favorite. And really, when I think about it, I'll tell you which one is my least favorite song, but I would say also, I don't really think there's a bad song on this reimagined version of the album. But if I were to tell you my least favorite song, I would probably say Get Your Business Straight is my least favorite song on here. But only because I think the Art of War song is that dang good. And I think I actually think that production on that song fits in better in the style of production of this album, the reimagined version, than the original one, the original version. So I would say Get Your Business Straight is probably my least favorite song, but like I said, it's not bad. In fact, it's not just not bad, it's good. It's a standout. So with that being said, I want to answer the question, is this album gospel-centered? And most certainly it is. I wouldn't say it's necessarily gospel-centered in the way that it's very explicitly talking about Jesus, but I would say it's Jesus-centered in the way that a lot of these songs act as testimonials and also point out some of the questions that a lot of believers have, like, are you there at all, God? Oh yeah, are you there at all? Like and I mean, those are the same lyrics from The People We Became, but I mean, those themes are still present on this, and Jesus is still the focus of this album. Mind you, I wouldn't say it's as focused as like some of the other albums I've reviewed this year, like Sigh the Legends, I'm Not a Rapper, or Hovey's Cry, but it is still Jesus focused, and it is still a really good Christian hip hop album. Now for my final score. I would give this The People We Became reimagined an 8 out of 10. No questions asked. I would actually say the reimagined version of this album is better than the original version of this album. And I love the original version of the album. In fact, I bought the vinyl for it, which, by the way, no big deal. Where the heck is the vinyl that I bought 9 weeks ago, brother? I need to know where that's at. I'm joking, but I actually am still kind of worried. I don't know where that is. But I really love this reimagined version of the album. If The People We Became to me was a 7 out of 10, and it was like 9 out of the 12 tracks or 8 out of the 12 tracks were favorites for me, this project, like 8 out of the 10 tracks are favorites for me, and the album is just better to me. I like I said, if that album is the artsy kid, this is the Too Cool for School kid album, and it's just such a treat for my ears to listen to, and I've stayed engaged the entire time. And so I want to give a big shout out to No Big Deal for even thinking of the idea for this project, and I want to give an even bigger shout out to 350 for the production on this project. Bravo to both of you gentlemen. What an idea, and what execution for said idea. So congrats to you guys. Guys, that's all. If you have any thoughts about this album, or if you've bought it on even, you let me know what your favorite track is. Or if you're watching this after the album's been released, you already let me know what your favorite track is. Maybe you say that you like which version of the album do you like better? Do you like this reimagined version better, or do you like the original version better? I'd be interested to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. Till next time, guys, you guys have a blessed day, and I'll see you later. Bye.